Hello, welcome back to another episode of On the Bright Side. I'm your host, Caroline Tusco, and let me tell you one thing, I bet you can guess it. I'm excited to chat with you guys today. I hope you're having an amazing day. The sun is shining here, so I am taking that as a win. I went to Wilmington, North Carolina last week, and I just got home like 2 days ago. And let me tell you, there it was like 80, 85, and I've come home and I'm in my Canadian Goose this morning, 50 degrees. Come on, Mother Nature, what's going on? Like, I get it, I went south, but I only went 11 hours down south. Mother Nature, it's May. Come on, girl, let's get it together. I should be in a bikini right now on my way to l'ocean, la plage. I think that's French for pool. The pool. That's what I mean, even though I don't have a pool. Oh my gosh. God bless the people who have pools and don't care who is over at their house, and you don't need an invite to go over. I used to have a pool at my old house before my parents got the D word, divorced. And you bet if I still had my pool nowadays, I would be like, it's basically a public pool. Come anytime, come and swim, because I know the pain of not having a pool. Anyways, I'm already getting distracted, but yeah, I went to Wilmington. It was so much fun, and not to toot my own horn, but toot. Honestly, normalize tooting your own horn, because we all should. My content ate. My friend was a trooper. We got so much good content, and my TikToks are hilarious right now. IMO, in my opinion. And I just love it. It's a taste of summer. And so while we were there, we did a sunrise swim per usual, because if you know me, I love a good sunrise swim. This is probably now like my third one since I've been on different vacations and whatnot. No one talks about the level of difficulty it is to go to sunrise swim. First, you got to blow up the tube the night before. I was like having palpitations. My face was turning purple trying to blow up that thing. I was having more action with that pool toy than I've had with a man in years. Like, come on. Then you wake up at like 4:45 in the morning. I'm like, I have not waken up this early since like middle school, when I needed to dress for him and was like, I need to play the part of gorgeous squirrel. So that's the last time I woke up that early. So got up that early, and then like, it's freezing. It's so cold. Someone commented on my TikTok, oh my gosh, the shark fin in the back. They were totally busting me, but I was looking for a shark fin for like 5 minutes in that video, and to whoever that was, I hope you're happy you took 5 minutes of my life. But honestly, I was giggling the entire time, so actually thank you. And the reason why I was giggling is because if I saw a shark fin in my video, you bet I would have taken this moment to the next level, and I would have been like, I swam with a shark. Like, oh my gosh, the attention. I would have been like, guys, you're so lucky I'm still here. It's probably for the best, so everyone doesn't have to hear and deal with me doing that and saying that. But nonetheless, sunrise swim is so much fun, and it is the only time I will say sleep when you're dead, because the sunrise is so worth it. It was beautiful, and there were people doing like yoga, and oh my gosh, so cute. And then you guys, every 3 feet, I don't know what was in the air in Wilmington, North Carolina, but every 3 feet, a beautiful man appeared. I'm like, why am I living in New York? I'm seeing these men and I'm like too stunned to speak. It was like a whole new world. But so yeah, went to North Carolina. I had so much fun. And then on the way home, I was passenger princess. My best friend drove all the way home, and I like watched movies and was silly. Oh my gosh. She was like, she was like, Caroline, can you go get my soda in the back? So I like unbuckled, and I went to turn my body around, and as she is going 75 on the highway, I accidentally shifted the car into neutral with my foot. We are so lucky it did not go into reverse. That was not it. Then I turn around and I go, oh my gosh. And I open her soda and it spills all over her. And I was like, this girl is going to kill me. Oh, and in the car while I was playing passenger princess, say that 3 times. I've made a new riddle rhyme. Playing passenger princess, playing passenger princess. When I was playing passenger princess, I was watching the new, what's it called? Another Simple Favor. Oh, so good. So good. I love a movie when it is that good. And I thought it was chef's kiss, incredible. And oh my gosh, it keeps you actually entertained when it's something you actually want to watch and it's not just like a background show. Also, I finished You the other day. For some reason, this is the one like dark show I can watch because I started it so long ago. The ending was also brilliant, but like I could never be a movie critic because I'm so like easygoing. Like I think every movie is a 10 out of 10 for the most part, minus like the movies that people say are actually good, like Pretty Woman, I think, or Little Woman. Oh my gosh, I was so bored. So maybe it's just like I like the silly movies because I would rate Barbie a 15 out of 10. So that's kind of how I am. Oh my gosh, there was another trend on TikTok and it was like, I like you, and then you swip over. I've made up the word swip. I like you, you swip over, and then it's like pictures of like the actual you and not like pictures of your best self. And I made that the other day and I was like, this is such an amazing trend because yeah, people like me in when I'm like in my makeup and my dresses and all that. And then I'm like, well, what about like anxious me and frightened me and worried me and overthinking me? And let me just say, I'm so lucky for my best friend Kiki, who I went on this vacation with, because she literally understands me at my best and at my worst. And if you know me in vacations, there are some vacations where people see me at my absolute worst because of my anxiety. And Kiki just knows how to handle it. And this one, luckily, I only had one little panic attack, slept it off, woke up, life was great, and she helped me through it all. So I'm appreciative, and after going on that trip and it being Mental Health Awareness Month, I was like, okay, what can we do for this week's episode? And I kind of want to talk about anxiety, but from the point of view of letting it take over our life when we shouldn't. Because I think a lot of people misunderstand anxiety, and first, sometimes people diagnose themselves saying like, oh my gosh, I have horrible anxiety, when it's not what anxiety actually is. Like everyone has stress and a bit of anxiety, but anxiety is actually anxiety when it's ruining your daily life, when it's ruining things that should be fun. Like if you're nervous for your first day of work and that's when you're experiencing anxiety, no, you don't have anxiety. You're just a normal human being and you have stress. It's just a part of being human. It's normal. But when it's getting in the way of your life or exciting things like going on vacation and things that should be fun, that's when it turns in like to the anxiety, because most people would be hyped the hell up before going on vacation with their best friend. And me, I was shaking. Well, I always shaking. I have tremors, duh. But like I was crying. My mom gave me a pep talk and then I was like, okay, let's go. And it was fine. But I don't think people see that a lot because they're like, oh my gosh, this girl must have had a wonderful time on vacation. And yeah, I did, but it also didn't show my downfall points. It's not showing me crying or me sleeping for 3 hours because I had to sleep through this panic attack, stuff like that. We don't always have to show it, because I'm not going to say post a picture of you throwing up over the toilet when you're your most anxious self. Like, no. But it's important to talk about because I think a lot of people out there feel like they're alone. And wow, did I just do a 180 flip. I was cracking jokes like a SNL comedian, and now we're getting straight and serious to the talk. And that's what you get on this podcast. And now talking about anxiety and talking about all of this. First, I have to say that anxiety is not drama. And when I say misunderstood, so misunderstood. Anxiety is not drama. It's not being ungrateful. It's not being selfish. It's literally having a mental health issue. It's having crippling anxiety where you cannot take control of yourself for that bit of time and your thoughts are taking over and racing. So if you call someone drama or you're ungrateful, I need you to be an empath and step into someone's shoes, because that is not the case. In most situations, that is not the case. And as Lady Mel Robbins says, let them. Yes, she is right in this situation. Let people think what they want. But sometimes I just want to whap people across the head and be like, wake up. One thing that is so healing about coping with anxiety and growing up with anxiety is how healing it is to have friendships and relationships with the people that say, oh, I don't care. If you have an anxious friend, a big part about anxiety is them worrying so much because they're people pleasing and they want everything to go right for everyone else. It's almost like a love language in a crippling way because they want everything to go right for themselves and the people around them, and they're scared it's not going to go right. So it really is a love language in a weird twisted way. But when someone says to me, or to people who have anxiety that they don't care that they might have a panic attack, that they might have to go home. Do you know how soothing that is to have the stress off your back, that you don't have to worry if you have to go home, that someone's going to be upset with you, that someone's not going to understand and get mad? Because it's hard enough dealing with anxiety first, but it's even harder having people around you who don't know how to deal with it and instead mislabel it and then use it against you. No. So like for me, my brain works like if I'm like going on vacation with a group of people, my brain works like, oh, well, what if I have to go home? Who's going to be upset with me? Who's not going to worry? And when I know the people who aren't going to worry, then I start to calm down and then I feel more like I can be myself. So then I'm not having that worry of, oh, what's going to happen, because it's taking that power away from the worry thought. And why I'm saying this all is because anxiety sucks, duh, but we also sometimes let anxiety take the driver's seat, and sometimes we let anxiety drive when anxiety should be sitting in the back like a polite little girl she is. So one thing that helps me is to actually name my anxiety, because then I think it's more silly and then I'm like, wait, what? So my girl's name is Beatrice. Anxiety's name is Beatrice. Beatrice girl. When something's going wrong, like Beatrice is acting up again. Like Beatrice is having le panic attack. Le petit panic attack. I like try to make things silly out of what's put in front of me because it makes me feel better. And once you start like giggling, you're like, oh wait, I'm okay. And that's when your anxiety starts to sit in the back seat and not drive. So I saw this metaphor way back when that we are the driver at all times, and we may have anxiety in the back seat throwing a fit. And sometimes anxiety likes to fight for the wheel and take it and try to steer my life for me. But this is where you can't let it. You can't let it take your wheel, because if you let your anxiety take your wheel and drive you around like a chauffeur, you are going to be anxiety's bitch. You are going to be anxiety's doormat, and you are going to do whatever it says. And it's just going to get worse and worse and worse every time you listen to her. So let's kind of break it up, because I've started a metaphor before I even like chatted about it. So basically the car, like the driving on the road, is your life journey, and it's everything you can go through, everything you can accomplish, all your hopes, goals, dreams, yada, yada, yada. And now you are the driver, and that's your sense of self, and it's your intentional self. It's how you want your life to go, and it's looking forward ahead for everything there is. And then there's the passenger or the person sitting in the back, and that's your anxiety, that's your fear, that's your doubt creeping in. It's the backseat driver telling you, nope, you need to turn left, when your GPS is literally telling you turn right. And you're the driver. You know this specific road like the back of your hand, but you have Miss Backseat Driver yapping saying turn left, or turn the other direction. And it's just messing you up. And that is annoying. And then it makes you rethink everything. And that's exactly what this type of anxiety is. But if you see these in yourself, you're not broken. You're just letting anxiety take the keys and take the wheel more often than it should. There's times where I let my anxiety drive, and I left events. I said no to plans. I hysterically cried and had a panic attack for 2 hours, something like that, along those lines. So picture me last Friday crying, and I'm like, Mom, should I even go? My mom gave me a great pep talk and is like, honey, you're going to go. You're going to have so much fun. You're going to go be with your best friend. And I took a deep breath, and I body shoved my anxiety in the back seat and taped it there and said, watch me do this, because I am the driver of my life. Not you, anxiety, not you. Go drive your own car, because I hate you and I'm not listening to you. And then I took back the wheel. Anxiety tried to pull at it a little bit and tried to freak me out. And I took the wheel right back, and I said, nope, get in the back seat where you belong. So I had a wonderful week, and I look back now, and I'm like, imagine if I let anxiety drive. I would have missed out on one of the best weeks of my life. And now think back to the times in your life where you were anxious, but you went through with it. and how worth it was doing it. Because even if it wasn't the most enjoyable time, you learned something. And I know you wouldn't do something else and go back and switch it because you either learned something or you put another tool in your toolbox and was like, hey, I can do this. And every time you take the wheel and every time you drive, you are teaching yourself that you can do it. And you're putting another tool in the toolbox saying, I've done this before, I can do it again. And when you back out and when you say no and when you avoid things and you cancel things, the only thing that does is strengthen this worry. It makes it seem that much more scarier when it could have just started out as like a little bonfire. And soon it'll be a wildfire because you keep putting gas on the fire. And we're all going to have these thoughts in our head telling us we shouldn't go or we shouldn't do something. Not those gut feelings, those anxious little voices that you're like, shut up. So anxiety can be a voice, but it doesn't need to be the decision maker. You can acknowledge your anxiety, but also move forward. On my vacation, I noticed those thoughts of being like, well, what if this happens? Or I'm going to have a panic attack, or being scared of things that usually scare me. And I said, okay, I'm going to acknowledge that this thought is here, but just because it's here doesn't mean it's going to happen. Just because it's here doesn't mean it's true. 95% of the thoughts that we worry about don't end up happening. And that's just not me spitting that out. That is a scientific fact. And we believe facts for so many other things, so why aren't we going to believe this fact? That our mind honestly just plays a lot of tricks on us sometimes. And, sometimes we really just got to look at those facts. It makes you think. It makes you think back on your life and my life and, who's ever listening, and makes you wonder, what did anxiety steal from me? What did anxiety talk me out of? I can remember birthday parties in elementary school where I did not go because I was so worried that I made myself sick. And I was like, I'm not going. I lost out on all those birthday opportunities. There were times where I left things early that I wish I did stay. Some I didn't. But there are times where I wish I did stay and didn't have my dad come pick me up. And I feel like I lost out on some of those moments. And I remember the second I got in the car, I felt a sense of relief, but I also felt so much more FOMO. And, that can be so difficult and draining sometimes because, you just want to be able to be a kid or be a teenager or be an adult and not have these silly little worries that aren't silly to us creep up and ruin such fun experiences because it's getting in the way. And don't get me wrong. You can have flare-ups, you can have bad days, panic attacks, but at the end of the day, you're the one with the license. You're the one in charge. You're the driver. Don't just give anxiety the wheel. We earned our driver's license. We take the wheel. And if our anxiety's in the car taking a hitchhike, okay. But it doesn't have permission to drive unless we give it to them, unless we hand over the wheel. And every time you drive and put anxiety in the back seat, the more you prove that your anxious thoughts are not true and that they're silly and that you are so much bigger and stronger than those thoughts and that you will be able to do what you dreamed of because you're working towards getting rid of these thoughts that aren't serving you, that are just anxious, intrusive thoughts. Oh my gosh, when I learned about intrusive thoughts for the first time, I was like, holy what? Like, I'm not going batshit, and this actually has like a name for it, and I'm not crazy. And that's what we need to get to in this world, in this life. I learned that I was not crazy at 20 years old. I learned what an intrusive thought is. Yet in 5th grade, I'm learning like an interpretive dance and how to tango. Let's start teaching and talking about real things that can really actually help people's lives and make a difference. Do you know how much better off I would have been 4 years ago? Wait, I'm only 22. 2 years ago? Well, okay, so it was actually a little longer ago. But do you know how much better off I would have been if someone told me, you're not alone, there's actually a name for these kinds of thoughts because they're so common? I thought I was crazy because intrusive thoughts are thoughts you don't want to believe. And we talked about this in an episode. I did it with Carrie Burke. And go listen to that episode if you want to know anything about intrusive thoughts because she is wonderful speaking on them. But intrusive thoughts are what you're scared of most coming to life, and you think you are those thoughts when you start to think them, is the best way I can say it. And, sometimes those intrusive thoughts try to get in the car and hitchhike and be a passenger. And again, we can say hi to the thought. We can acknowledge them like we would a human being, but it doesn't mean we need to talk to them. We can just acknowledge they're there and keep driving and keep moving on and keep taking our wheel. So this week, I'm going to toot my horn again. Toot, toot. This week, I went on vacation for a week. I stayed with people I had never met. I met my best friends from there. I took a plane by myself. I took my medicine when I needed to. When I felt a panic attack, I gripped the driver's wheel until I felt control again, and I did it. I did it a week away. If you told me that 4 years ago, I would have been like, hell to the no, girl. You are crazy for thinking you can do this. And guess what? I did it. Because we are all capable of being bigger than our anxiety, and we are capable of taking the wheel. Tuesday, I go to New York City. I don't get a +1, so it's meeting strangers all day, navigating the city by myself. And am I nervous? Absolutely, and that's a human response. And now I say, okay, I can do this. And you say you can do this. Every time we drive and take the wheel when someone else is trying to take it, we are that much closer to the life we want to live. And we look back and don't say, well, what if I did this? What if I went? There are no what ifs because we're the driver, not someone else, not anxiety, not Beatrice in the back. We are the driver. So this week, let's try to stay being the driver of our story. And remember, this is your life, not someone else's life. You get to decide how the story writes. You get to decide where the car travels. It's all up to you. And sometimes those silly little thoughts are going to go off in our head, but we don't need to listen to them. We don't need to listen to that. And some days we just need to have a little exposure therapy come our way. And that's what it means to take the wheel and drive. So this week, I want you to do something that exposes you just in a little way. Something like going to a workout class by yourself, or doing something by yourself, or doing something small that doesn't make you want to throw up over a toilet, but also gives you a little jitter in your stomach. Anyways, I just got so distracted on my phone for a second, and people are brilliant, like a whole new level of brilliant. Basically call them Albert Einstein, because these TikToks are getting so funny. The tariff ones, the people riding their boats to go pick up their Shein shirts or their Aperol spritzes. I'm peeing. I'm hollering. Holler. Okay, time to go back to my scrolling. This truly is a mixture of every thought in my brain onto a podcast. We got sentimental, we got mental health, we got SNL skits. We got it all. Oh. And make sure you're following out on the Bright Side Pod with 2Ds on Instagram and on TikTok. And you guys, next week, I think I'm allowed to announce a surprise. So look forward to that. I love you guys. Make sure you give us a 5-star review, because I want to go fun places and bring you guys along. And that's what we do with 5-star reviews. So give it a 5-star, because it gives us so many more opportunities. And can you imagine the content if I could go on like Tripping with Tart or something? Anyways, I love you guys. And remember to stay looking on the bright side. And I promise you it'll serve you really well. Love you guys. Bye.